What is corporate governance? Corporate governance is a system of rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. Corporate governance essentially involves balancing the interests of the many stakeholders in a company. These include its shareholders, management, customers, suppliers, financiers, government, and the community. Since corporate governance also provides the framework for attaining a company's objectives, it encompasses practically every sphere of management, from action plans and internal controls to performance measurement and corporate disclosure.
The board of directors for Hewlett-Packard investigated their CEO, Mark Hurd, in response to a sexual harassment complaint by a former contractor, Jody Fisher. There was not enough evidence to charge Hurd for the complaint, but other problems were revealed during the investigation. He was forced to resign and received a severance package for approximately $50 million. Interim CEO, Kathy Lyszczyk, wrote a letter to HP employees that explained that Hurd violated the standards of business conduct. She also wrote that Hurd failed to maintain accurate expense reports and misused company assets, as well as failing to uphold HP's credibility. The facts. Jody Fisher was a marketing consultant who was hired to work on a project for HP, but was not an employee of the company. She was represented by lawyer Gloria Allred, who wrote a letter that had incriminated Hurd. The leaked letter had explained that Hurd showed Fisher his substantial checking account to impress her, and that she was only brought on to accompany Hurd to out-of-town HP events rather than work on the actual project. Allred also alleged in the letter that Mark Hurd harassed Fisher on multiple occasions and the sexual advances, made Fisher feel used and uncomfortable.
As found on HP's website is the harassment-free work environment policy. A harassment-free work environment also means no sexual harassment. All forms of sexual harassment are unacceptable in HP's work environment. Any employee believing that he or she has been harassed or has witnessed harassment should exercise HP's open door policy to report any such incident to his or her manager, the next level of management, or human resources. Employees who in good faith report harassment are protected from retaliation.
There is a major role of trust in business, and it affects stakeholders' interest in the company. The trust the board of directors had for Mark Hurd was abused when they discovered the unethical behavior taking place by their own leader. New CEO Kathy Lyszczyk explains in a letter to the company that every employee is expected to follow the business standards, especially the senior executives. They must hold a higher set of professional standards and personal conduct, setting a tone at the top. The values and ethics of a company are only as strong as the person leading that company. In business, conflicts of interest are when an organization or individuals of that organization have multiple interests that may interfere with the overall goals. These interests include personal gains that may cause an employee to lose independence or confidential information that could potentially hurt their company. Hurd's actions in this case create a conflict of interest because he abuses his power in the company to allegedly harass Jody Fisher. According to Fisher and her company, she was hired to work on a project, not escort Hurd to various catering events. Sexual harassment may have existed due to the fact that there was a conflict of interest between Hurd and Fisher, as well as Hurd and the board of directors. Hurd can no longer work for HP if there is now a trust issue within the company, whether or not he was found guilty. It is now public knowledge that HP's board fired Mark Hurd because they felt he had used HP's resources inappropriately and lied to them about his relationship with Jody Fisher.